Welcome everyone back to the Crimson 15 podcast. I'm your host, Crimson Sen.
15 PCA.
87454.
Be sure to check us out over on Twitter at C15 Podcast. Join the discussion over on Discord, link in the description below. And if you're enjoying the videos, be sure to sub, like, share, and hit that bell for notifications. Season 2, Episode 6 of the Owl House, Hunting Palismen. And be sure to check out my little mini reviews. I have them over on my TikTok, link in the description below. And also I posted on the YouTube stories. It's like their version of TikTok. So if you want to get my quick reaction, 1-2 minute long, check those out. If you want the long in-depth reviews, you came to the right place. And this episode isn't bad. It's we get some more stories, some more background. The Golden Guard guy's hunter, and it's okay. There's issues. I have problems with a lot of this stuff, but at least we're kind of moving forward with the storyline here, and it's not just about like, ooh, who's gonna go to the dance with me? Let's talk about this overarching plot here, because we open up and we have Belos. He's like doing his little speech and everything, and we see these other witches, and they're like the heads of all the other schools. So like he broke magic up into all these different things. So if you can only do one type of magic. And these are all the leaders. They're very unique looking people. I talked about this during the trailer for this season. I kind of made fun of all of them, but it seemed to me that, are these people possessed? Is it like Lord of the Rings where he gave them their power, so now he has kind of control over them? Because when they all like put their little medallions down and it's showing the vision and their eyes get all glowy, are they being influenced in some way? Maybe not complete mind control, but just enough. I don't know. It seemed that way, but it looks like Belos wants to combine the human world and the magic world. Like it shows like the Titan, this the big old skull thing that gets dead body, I guess, wherever all the magic comes from, these dead Titans. And he's saying, because he does that whole thing like, oh, I speak to the Titan and I speak for the Titan, kind of like, oh, I speak for God, basically. So he's lying, right? Like he's just making all that up. It shows the earth and the magic realm like overlaid. What do you think is going to happen when you get there? I don't know if you've been to Earth in like a long time, but Belos, there's a thing called guns. And yeah, you're going to get shot. Anyways, I don't know what his plan is. Like it's going to make him not sick anymore. I don't know. Because then he starts like coughing and he's dying. Remember, he eats like the Palismans, like their energy, and that like heals him. Looks like so he's being escorted away. Like the Golden Guard is like, hey, I'll take care of you. Then Kikimora is like, oh, I'm gonna help. No, I got this. So there's a rivalry there. Kikimora is a woman, right? Like an adult, and the Golden Guard, he's a literal child. So I don't know, because her voice and the way she acts makes you think that she's just like a little demon lady and she's like an actual adult. And I could be right, or I don't know. Am I wrong? In the comments below, let me know if I'm wrong. I'm wrong a lot of times, but especially when it comes to ages and stuff, this show's weird. So he goes in the other room and then they give him a Palisman and he kind of like, sips on it, but it only does so much because his mask is even cracking and he has like a full blown like freak out. So his body's falling apart or he's turning into a monster. See, Ida had a curse where she turned into a monster. So is this similar or is this something completely different? Is there a connection there? Because they seem to be suffering from like this like a chronic illness where they can't get over this thing, and they take medicine, which in his case is these the Palismans, but it only does so much. So he's trying to like, I don't know, he's got to do something because it's like wild magic, right? So he doesn't like Palismans, but he uses them. So I don't know. Then we get kind of like we feel bad for the Golden Guard here because he's like, oh, I can help you if you let me learn more about the wild magic. But then he kind of like snaps at him. So he cares about him. He calls him his uncle. So he's his nephew. I'm like, oh, so they're like related somehow. And then he's like, oh, I trust you. You can do this and everything. And so there's like a relation there. I guess it's kind of like an adoptive thing. Like, oh, I found you and I raised you and all that kind of stuff. Here's the question. I'm thinking Belos either one, use like magic to trick him into thinking that he saved his life, or two, he probably killed his parents and then like took him in and like, oh, I'm your savior, when he was in fact the one who caused the problem in the first place. So I'm assuming it's something bad like that. But we do have this rivalry between Kikimora and the Golden Guard, which is interesting, which is completely 1,000,000%. This whole beginning part so removed from the way that the show's presented with Luce and how she acts, because she acts like a literal idiot kid, which is fine if that's how you want to do your show. But then you have this first part, which seems super interesting, and then we have to deal with, got to get Luce involved. We see the little rat, the little memory rat thing, and she's like, oh, come on, spit out some more information so I can find out about like how to get back home. Again, in the comments, people explain to me, how the hell does this rat thing work? So it ate a page out of the book, or ate the book, and then it can like regurgitate the information like a projector. How does a book translate into sound and pictures? And how do you control what it projects? I'm assuming this mouse has eaten hundreds of books. So how does it pick which book it shows? That whole Echo Mouse thing is such a stupid concept. Ugh. If it was like a machine, you could like program it or something. But no, it's a living thing. I don't know. Someone explain it to me. It's ridiculous. Remember Ida? Oh, I love Ida. She's amazing. And then I guess it's like she's got to get ready for school. And, she's kind of like, I don't know if I want to go to school today. But I guess today's the day they get their Palismans. They get their staffs. And then, of course, she's super excited. She wants to go. And they do it out on the field. And is this like everyone who's getting their staff that day? Or are they doing it like in groups? But it seems like these are the only kids getting their staffs. Like, how big is this school? Is it small? I thought it was pretty huge. And whatever. So they're all out there, and we see some familiar faces. And there's the one girl from that one episode. Then we get to see the principal talks about Palismans and how they're like your partners, kind of familiar. It's a very similar concept. Then he's like, oh, like he shows off his, and it's that little demon.
Holy Titan.
Freeman here helps me see.
And that sits on his head, and he goes, it helps him see because he has like one bad eye. Hey, me too. And I like this guy. He reminds me of a character from Shinigami Tensei. He kind of reminds me like he could be in that, right? But that's super cool. So his like lives on his head, and he has like long black hair. I think he looks pretty cool with his hat off. He should like let his hair down, But then, Ida's there to help. And I do like the fact that she was so anti-school and anti-learning. It's kind of cool to see her like participate in like an actual school event, which is super cool. But since they've been harvesting the wood, because there's a special kind of wood you use to make a Palisman, but they've been over harvesting it because of Belos has been using all that for his like to keep himself alive or keep himself together. So they can't go and make them, but what they can do is, remember the Bat Queen lady, how her whole thing is like all these Palismans were abandoned by their masters, and they're she hated the witches for that. Now she like said they're gonna set up an adoption thing. Super cool. I love it. I love adoption. If you want to get a cat or dog, go to an adoption place, because there's plenty of beautiful animals out there who want a family. And just like that, these Palismans want partners. Like, I don't know, kind of like Pokemon. I don't know, collect them all. But she brings it in and everything, and then we see all the little dudes go out on this little Robin-looking dude. I love this guy. He's so cool. But then you have to go there, and there has to be a special connection. You have to, like, say your heart's desires, and then the Palisman will connect with you, and then one will step forward, and then it will become like your buddy. So first, and then Bosch is like, oh, that's so stupid. Bosch, you're a freaking B-word. But then, Willow, remember Willow? She runs up there and she's like, oh, she says like her way she wants to like protect her friends and everything. And, and if you mess with my friends, I'm going to get you. Okay, Willow, sure. But I guess one of the little things jumps up and boom, she gets her staff. Super awesome. And I do like how the Bat Queen's like, giving them like explaining and stuff. It's super cool. I like this whole scene's really nice because I like the whole adoption idea. Then Bosch is like, oh, I want to be the best whatever, that Grim Ball player or whatever. Then she gets hers, and it's fun. You get to see your pet. Then everyone kind of goes up there and does their thing, and then even Gus, and he gets his, and we see some of the other side characters. But then Luce steps up and like, oh, what's your heart's desire? She's like, oh, I want to be a witch. Okay, and because none of the Palismans are reacting to her, then she's like, maybe you got to be more specific. And well, I don't know if I want to go home. Then super indecisive. That's Luce's problem. She doesn't think at all. She doesn't think beyond 5 seconds. So she doesn't have a plan. Like she didn't even, and then all that starts to kind of like fall on her right now. It's like, oh my goodness, am I going to ever go back home? Am I trying to get back home? Well, why try to be a witch and have a Palisman if I'm going to just go home where magic doesn't work there? So what am I even doing? So she has all this kind of like, so I guess she didn't get one. Comments below. Do you think she's able to get one? She used one. Remember, she uses Ida's in the past. So she's able to channel magic and use it. But so I'm assuming she'd be able to get one. I think it's just her indecisiveness. So she's all over the place. But maybe the fact that she's human, she can't get one. I don't know. In comments below, let me know what you guys think. Then we get back home and then she kind of has that whole like identity crisis. Like, what the hell am I even doing here? But then, Ida's kind of listening in and she's trying to be I kind of see her as like an older aunt. I see her as like that older, not necessarily a mom because she doesn't really have, she wouldn't be a good mom. She'd be a good aunt, So she's going to try to help her friend out. She loves Luce and she wants her to be happy. We see that the little Robin guy stowed away in her backpack and she's like, oh, you came here because you chose me. And it just kind of just walks around. It's like, of course not. Great joke. That was hilarious. But she's like, I got to get you back home. You got to go back in the little thingy. I love her little pajama pants. They're super cute. She takes it back to the where all the Palismans are being held. And I guess they're in like this little protective shell. But I guess the Palismans can pass through. Or maybe just this one can pass through. The shield pops. And then Luce, being Luce, like goes in there. And she's like, hey, what's up, buddies? I'm out living till one of you chooses me. So she's trying to like get, be friendly with them. She goes through her whole like everything. She's there for a while because she ends up like falling asleep. So I'm assuming hours went by. She wakes up to some movement and the whole nest is getting stolen. She's like, oh crap. So she's trying to save these ones. She climbs up there to the freaking thing and it's the Golden Guard. And the magic, I get so hung up about because I'm doing a story. I want to make a comic. And it has some of my characters. That's what all my characters are based off of. And I'm so worried. I'm like, oh, I want things to make sense. I want the abilities and the powers and the way things work to make sense. But it doesn't seem like anyone gives a flying crap if anything makes sense. So she's able to just draw on a leaf and anything happens. So I thought, maybe because she's using a leaf, she can make a vine out of it because it's like the same element, but apparently it can be anything because she makes a fire element thing and slaps it on him and sends him like rocketing off, which is actually pretty funny just to kind of get rid of him. I do like the fact that she's like, well, he'll be able to protect himself. Like, you could have killed him and she didn't even care. She tries to get the ship down. Of course, he's able to like get back onto the thing and he's able to like teleport and move around really fast. I think that's super cool. I love the way that looks.
Hey, are you stealing Palismen, Golden Guard?
Frankly, you should be more concerned about yourself.
But his staff, again, it looked mechanical. I remember I brought that up in the past. I'm like, it doesn't look like every other staff. Like even Belos' staff doesn't look like a normal witch's staff in this world. It's very like it has, excuse me, like it has a machinery to it. But he's able to just kind of capture Luce and pin her to the thing. And he's like, then they kind of go back and forth and kind of, just having their conversation. And of course, Luce is very like, you can't take these guys. They're not yours to steal. I know what Belos does to them. He's going to kill them. You're like, come on, you can't do this. But she's able to draw one of the sigil thingies on the ground. And in my mind, I'm thinking you would have to, again, when I think about the rules, how does this magic work? It would have to be perfect, right? Because even if you screw up your circle, like the spell wouldn't work right. She's able to draw with her foot an absolutely perfect one. More perfect than I could draw with my hands with practice. Ridiculous. She at least made it look a little off, but no, it's absolutely perfect. She does like an ice spike thingy. So she's still attacking him and stuff. But then he's like, you know what? Forget this. He's going to basically get rid of her, knocks away his staff, but he doesn't I thought, okay, why doesn't he use his magic? I guess he can't use magic without his staff, which is kind of funny. And then he kind of realizes maybe he isn't really a witch at all. Then they get attacked by that big hand dragon, the Happy Hands dragon. And I'm like, where the hell did this thing come from? I'm like, oh man, it must be Kikimora. She's out to freaking steal the Palismen. So it would be her that got him for Belos and not necessarily him. Was she trying to kill him too? I'm assuming it was one of those things where it's like, oh, steal the Palismans, and if he's dead, he's dead. Who cares? I don't know if she was looking to kill him, but I kind of think that it got to that point because we see when she talks later, she hits the ground and she got captured, but that little Robin kind of gets her loose because she was still tied up from when the Golden Guard caught her. Then she gets to the ground and like, oh, they see all the stuff strewn about, and then they find the helmet. Like, oh, this is all we found was the helmet. I guess he's dead. Like, oh, dang, that's kind of interesting. Here's what I don't understand. So this other soldier guy thinks that the Golden Guard's dead. Is he not going to report this? When he sees the Golden Guard later in the episode, like, or I guess later on in the series, what's he thinking? Well, then Kikimora is a liar. I don't know. I don't know if they even think any of these damn things through. Or if these people are so loyal to her, they're not going to say anything. I don't know. Let me know in the bottom, in the comments. Everyone already watched to the end. Don't spoil anything, but let me know if I'm on the right track. Then she's like telling her dragon, oh, here, basically feeds him the helmet. Yeah, find him and get yourself a good meal. So yeah, she's straight up willing to murder the Golden Guard, who is a child. Then Luce is like, damn, like, I don't like this guy, but I don't want him to fucking die. She looks over and sees him, and he's right there. Everyone kind of fell in the same spot. Okay, within like 20 feet of each other. Then she sees him, and I said this in my little mini review. I didn't know what to expect, what he would look like under the mask, but okay, he's a handsome guy. And, Luce gets like super close to him. Then she like slaps the living hell out of him. Okay, funny joke. But at the same time, okay, you could at least shuck him or try to wake him up. Why the hell did you slap him? I guess because she hates him too. Because he's kind of a bad guy. But she tells him, hey, I'm here to rescue you because Kikimora wants to kill you. And I don't like you, but I don't want to kill you. So shut the hell up. Let's say she's like, oh, why should I trust you? Because why would the Golden Guard trust Luce at this moment? But it's kind of more of like a silly fight, like he's pushing on her and everything. It's very childish, and I thought, well, this is kind of more serious. But they kind of see the dragon. He's like, oh man, maybe she isn't lying. So he's like, come on, let's get the hell out of here. And she's holding on to his staff, saying, I'm not going to give this back to you. And he has little armor and everything. So it looks really flat. That's not how armor sits on your body. Anyways, it's just cheap art. So they go to this, I guess there's a town nearby. All these things are within 5 seconds of each other. So they're in this town walking around, and this looks like a fantasy town. This looks like a straight up D&D magical fantasy world the way I like it, where we see in Bonesboro, they have things like news broadcasts and cell phones. And I hate that. I hate the introduction of like weird things like, oh, we have cell phones on Earth, so they have like a cell phone, and this doesn't look like that exists in this town. So maybe Bonesboro is just like a weird, like they have some technology. I don't know. I like this area better. But the Golden Guard is just walking away, and then he walks with some guards, and he's like, hey, I need you to report to whoever's the head of this garrison, Then he shows off, I guess he has like a tattoo of like the coven, the Emperor's Coven. And they're like, oh, I don't know, little kids still use rub-on tattoos. Oh, get out of here, you stupid kids. So he's a child. But, okay. This keeps coming up. People say, I looked on the wiki. The wiki doesn't mean anything because anyone can edit that. So the wiki says that they're like 14, 15 years old. They're drawn like they're 10. They look like little kids. But I guess they're teenagers. And so Kikimora wanted to kill a child? Okay. And then the attempted murder of the Belos', quote unquote, nephew. I mean, how's that going to go over? Whatever. So they're not going to get any help from the guard. And she's like, hey, she basically, he's like, here, give me my staff so I can do my magic. And then she's like, no, I'm not giving you this freaking staff. She just takes off and runs. And then we get like a chase scene. And I'm thinking to myself, remember when Luz talked about being so weak, and she's a 15-year-old girl with no athletic ability. Zero, none, nada. She watches anime and reads books. She's not an athletic girl. Look at all this. She jumps from the top of this thing. Sorry. She shattered every bone in her bird-like freaking ankle. It's just gone, shattered. But she's able to do all these things. The physicality, I hate it. She does use magic to like jump up higher and everything. Thank goodness she can't do that on her own. But I do like how the Golden Guard, like she's able to get to like a rooftop, and he's like, you can't get to me. Then he runs back and is able to get up there. So even though he kind of struggles to get up to the actual ledge, he was actually able to do it. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. We see that there's this weird kind of like, I don't know, trust developing, because he's like, hey, I got an idea. we see that Kikimora wants to get those Palismans to kind of show you up. She tried to kill you. I want to save the Palismans. She's worse than you at the moment, so why don't we just work together? And he's like, that's a bad idea because I want these Palismans too. He's like, well, okay. He goes, maybe by then I won't let you. You won't have a choice but to give them to me. But I'm like, okay, I guess they kind of have to work together. So they kind of coming up with a plan. And I'm thinking they show that they kind of work well together and they have a mutual interest in old magic because she draws like these, because remember how we learned that you can combine the sigils, you can combine them to make like 2 different spells. So if you combine, like here, she wants to combine ice and fire to make fog. Okay, that's super awesome. Then he's like, oh, wow, this kind of reminds me of like the old magics, you know, and then he's starting to get very into it. And we can see that he's kind of like he's just like a kid who's interested in magic. And he almost seems happy to be talking about this. And then Luz wants to learn about this. So that's awesome. But then he's kind of like, oh, no, we're not allowed to talk about that because it's the old wild magic and that's been outlawed. But we see that he's a victim, not necessarily a bad guy. I would have liked it for him to be a bad guy a little bit, at the very least, a little bit longer. To be a villain, a counterpoint to Luz for a while. They kind of wrapped it up real quick. Oh, he's a victim. He actually wants to learn about the same magic that Luz is learning about. Okay, he's not a bad guy. Is he going to betray them? I don't think so. They set it up to where that's not going to probably happen. I don't see that happening. He's more likely to betray Belos than he's going to betray them because I think he sees that Luz isn't a bad person and she kind of just wants to go home. But in the triple way spell, she's able to she got these little mushrooms and she's going to put them in there. So the mushrooms are going to make them sleep. It's going to be in the fog. She's going to make knockout gas. Super cool. That little bird finds Hunter and then starts poking him. Get away from me. So they have that connection because this little guy's was, I guess he said that he's like a wild spirit and he kind of wants to do what he wants and wants to learn things in adventure. And that's what Hunter wants to do. He wants to learn about those old spells and he's kind of rebellious. So, okay, I guess this is going to be his little buddy, his Palisman. But, okay, put your masks on because they have masks now. And they do the thing to do the knockout gas. I thought to myself, this mask is not going to keep this knockout gas from getting into your lungs. But I guess the mask was to hide themselves. Lame. It's stupid. So they do the knockout gas. The dragon has to kind of crash to the ground because it's falling asleep. They see that she ended up giving she gave the staff back to Hunter. I'm like, okay, that's nice that she gave it back to him. But then she gets to save the Palismans and then he's kind of pointing the stick at her. She's like, oh yeah, I could have saw that coming. I didn't think this all the way through. And she took her coat off, her magical protection cloak from magic. She gave it to the Palismans. I'm like, oh, why did you do that? Don't take off your armor. Do not do that. You're just a human girl. You don't have a lot of ways to protect yourself. Keep the damn coat on. But she's trying, oh, they look cold. Don't be an idiot, Luz. Then he powers up his staff and he's going to get her. She's like, come on, you really going to do this? Then look at that face. Redemption. He's like, hey, okay, get the hell out of here. But then we see Kikimora starts to attack. Again, in the comments below, you can just cast spells without doing a circle. Kikimora doesn't have a staff. Why do some people have staffs and some people don't? I guess Amity wasn't in this episode either because, she didn't want to go to school. Remember when she was out of a bunch of episodes because her foot hurt? Why doesn't Amity's older brother and sister have Palismans and staffs? Shouldn't they have already gotten theirs? Or they don't want one? It only makes your magic stronger, right? I don't know. Weird. We see Kikimora is able to shoot bolts of energy. She's using magic missile without making a circle. But then sometimes she does make a circle. Again, I don't know how the magic works in this damn show. So we have a little fight going on. But since she's all sleepy and she's unable to aim correctly. She's like, oh, you attacked a world member of the coven of the emperor. You're gonna get basically captured and killed. So they're having a little battle back and forth, but she doesn't even know who she's fighting. She kind of shoots him and burns his hair, but she's kind of bouncing around because she's all sleep drunk. Luz jumps on the dragon and blows Kikimora's whistle, and that's enough for it to just listen to her. What? It feels to me like they have problems in the show and then they just solve them as quickly and as stupidly as possible. So she's able to control the dragon and just picks up the Palismans and brings them back. But she looks back and sees she left freaking Hunter down there. Okay. So she brought back the Palismans and then like the dragon sitting there. And then we see the little Robin comes out and talks to the Bat Queen. She's like, oh, so you found your partner. That's super good. Go to him now. Oh, super awesome. It was going to be Hunter. That's super cool. I love it. It's cute. I like it. Luz gets home. And I thought it was going to be the gag of like, you know, you get home, lay down for 2 seconds, and then 1 second later, oh, got to get ready for school. It's like, because she was out all night. She's looking at her mom. She's like, I need to get home, but like, you know, what's all this about? Boom, Ida pops into the window and she's like, hey, kid, I got a surprise for you, a gift. She's like, okay, what is it? And it's like a block of wood. She's like, oh, thank you. That's interesting. She's like, oh, no, this is that Palisman wood. And since none of those other Palismen wanted to be your partner, you'll be able to make your own. But you don't have to do it right now. Whenever you think you found what you're looking for, you're inspired to make your Palisman, I'll help you carve one and you can get one of your own. Super cool. Ida's awesome. I love her with all my heart. She's the whole show should be about her. Then, you know, it's like super cute. She loves her. They love each other. They're a great family. It's wonderful. And then we get back to Hunter and he's like, he's walking and he has to go tell Belos that he failed. That he lost all the Palismans. And, you know, then we get the opposite. See how Ida was treating Luz like a good guardian, like a good, you know, mother, father figure, that family. Then we get to this family that's abusive and it's toxic and it's awful. Oh, you failed me, and there won't be you can't fail like this. I trusted you and all that kind of stuff, and basically putting everything on us. But he goes, Belos, if you just let me learn about the magic that did this to you, maybe I can help you. Then he's like, no. And then he just kind of get out of my sight or whatever. Starts to walk out and sees Kikimora. And I thought, oh God, didn't they just try to kill each other? Like, what's the deal? Why didn't he tell Belos that Kikimora is out to get me? Like, why, in the comments below, why didn't he do that? I know the whole Palisman issue was kind of like takes, you know, precedence with Belos because that's what keeps him alive. But at the same time, it's like, hey, the reason why I lost these Palismans is because I was attacked by Kikimora's dragon and she's trying to kill me and take my place because she's jealous of me. Why didn't he say that to him? Again, explain that to me in the comments below, how that it wasn't an option. But then he's like, oh, hey, Kikimora. And then it kind of like, oh, you kind of had quite the night yourself, didn't you? And then she's like, oh, yeah. And I'm thinking, did she not know it was him? But then she sees his singed hair and she remembers doing that. She's like, oh my God, that was him I was fighting. So she didn't realize it was him at the time, but now she knows. So they know that I know that you know that I know that you know. It's like one of those situations. So he goes at his bed and lays down, and then the Palisman comes to him. And he's like, oh, hey, little buddy, what are you doing here? Then it turns into a staff. So now he has an actual magic staff and not like the fake technological magic staff. He looks at the window, very reminiscent of when Luz would look out the window at the end of the episode. So I like a lot of this and I hate a lot of this. Mostly to do with how the magic works and how there doesn't seem to be any real rules. Hunter turned too quickly. I would have liked him to be a villain for a little longer. Anytime Ida's on screen, I'm in love. She's great. She's funny. She's caring. She's kind. She's also a little rough around the edges and she kind of doesn't do everything right, but she has a good heart. Luz, again, the same thing. She has a good heart, but her being, I don't know. I don't like the physicality. Like I can run and jump and do all these things and she shouldn't be able to do any of those things. But overall, not a bad episode. Got to take everything in one big piece. And I do think that the good outweighs the bad in this episode. Give me more story. No more kissy. I'm going out with my girlfriend. That's nice. Whatever. But isn't it more important that Belos wants to like fuse the realms and you need to get home? And don't those things take more, you know, precedence in your heart over than, oh, a girl and we can hold hands and maybe kiss? You know what I'm saying? We got to have priorities. But catching up, hopefully I can get through all these before the new season starts. But you know me, I'm slow on all this. But thanks for watching, guys. I read every comment. I enjoy it. Check out the mini reviews if you want the quick stuff. But thanks for staying through the big, giant, half-hour long, in-depth reviews. I love doing them. They're a lot of fun. And I'll catch you guys on the next episode. That's in here. Thanks for watching the video. Remember, you can contact us on any of the social media platforms in the description down below. And while you're here, be sure to click on one of the videos over on the right.